For many years, I have been an avid Spider-Man fan, from gaming to movie-going to the Pop-Tart promotions of the Tobey Maguire decade. I have done just about everything Spider-related that I can manage. But I haven't, however, dived into the deep lore of some of Spider-Man's most classic villains. As most people have, I learned to appreciate the popular foes Peter Parker has faced, like Green Goblin and the Sandman. But what about the other beef that Peter has gotten into during his long history as the Webhead? What about the infamous Sinister Six, who has been terrorizing Marvel Comics since their debut? Because those niggas are the real deal, let me tell you. They have a bunch of heavy hitters on there like the Vulture and Electro, the lightning-throwing hothead. Even Otto Octavius, or better yet known as Doc Ock, the man who not only terrorized Peter Parker's life, but wrecked his own by shattering his wife's face accidentally with a million shards of glass. But there is one member that has caught my eye, one particular man that I have been obsessing over, and I had to share it with all of you. And that devious, dastardly dickhead is none other than Craven the Hunter. Yes, I did remove my shirt and put on a new one, because talking about Craven gets me all hot and steamy. Anyways, Sergei Dmitry Kravenov, or better yet known as Craven the Hunter, is a Russian-born immigrant. His lifetime was based in Africa, where he hunted big game creatures, becoming a world-renowned hunter. But this didn't satisfy his bloodlust, for he craved something more, a bigger challenge, a bigger catch. He was looking for something that would make him superior over all creatures. And this is where his infamous battles with the Webhead come in. In issue number 15 of the Amazing Spider-Man series, Craven the Hunter was introduced to the audience. He was called by the Chameleon after his narrow escape by the Bug Boy. Chameleon needed somebody to take Spider-Man off the map for good, so he called up his longtime pal Craven for the task. Craven, lusting for a new challenge, accepted his friend's request quicker than you're on Facebook. While Peter is going back and forth with Betty Brant over another love interest, Craven arrives in New York with a myriad of wild beasts. Peter changes it into his Spidey costume, but it was no use. Craven had already disassembled every beast that touched down in the Big Apple with ease. Peter, however, being occupied being Spidey, didn't capture a picture for the Bugle. So now, not only is Betty Brant upset with him, Jonah also has his panties in a knot. Fast forward a couple panels and Spidey has his first encounter with the Hunter. This fight was evenly matched for a moment until the Webhead had a slight upper hand and shrank. Not wanting to face defeat, Craven launched some sort of toxin into Spider-Man's face, causing him to be disoriented and giving him Parkinson's. Peter's hands shake at school, work, mainly any place that you can think of around New York. He just can't seem to shake this feeling.
Oh, brother, this...
Having trouble focusing on his life, Peter decides to hunt down the Hunter. He puts together a scheme to place one of his spider tracers on Craven, so that way he can keep an eye on him if Craven ever tries to attack again. Fast forward, and the Bug and the Hunter are at odds again, with Craven using all types of weapons on Peter. He manages to lock Peter's arms and legs in traps before Spidey flees. These traps were causing some sort of loud jingle everywhere Spider-Man ran to, so he had to nullify the sound somehow. He used his webbing to stuff the shackles and mute the bell noises. But Peter somehow can't shake the feeling that there's something off. Why does it feel like Craven is everywhere at once and keeping up with him with ease? He gets a hold of Craven, only for it to be the Chameleon's bitch ass in disguise. Chameleon, you sneaky, naughty little sh. Not so long after, Spidey manages to web up Craven, ending his stalking once and for all, or until his next appearance. As you can tell by now, Craven and Spider-Man have a very different relationship than that of his other villain. Goblin's mission is to terrorize his life for the sake of shits and giggles. Doc Ock wants to obtain his power. Sandman is just some guy that likes to rob banks and Spider-Man always gets in his way. But Craven has a very specific bloodlust for Spidey that no other villain does. He not only wants to defeat Spider-Man, he wants to own him. He wants to conquer his entire life. And we see this in one of Spider-Man's most brutal storylines. The Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 293, is titled Craven's Last Hunt. This storyline to me is what sparked my interest in Craven to begin with. Mind you, this storyline takes place during Peter's Black Suit arc. Yeah, the Bully Maguire arc. The Spider-Man Insomniac arc. His level of not giving a f was through the roof at this time. He was also in the middle of other important events like Secret Wars and getting married to Mary Jane Watson. But we have to backtrack to a series titled Web of Spider-Man to see how the entire story arc plays out. These two comics connect into a bigger storyline, which is weird to me, but who gives a fuck? They're comics. They've been weird since their creation. It's standard at this point. If you're not reading 30 issues of one book just to understand part 5, what are you doing? The issue begins in Web of Spider-Man, number 31. The story starts off with Craven. Whoa, pause. Is this nigga butt-ass naked right now fighting a Bigfoot? Craven is a different type of obsessed, let me tell you. But later on, we can see that Craven has a death wish, but he doesn't want to leave until he has ended the reign of Spider-Man for good. We transition into seeing Peter doing some black suit activity with some thugs. And and their facial expressions have no need for any further explanation. I'm pretty sure you can tell what they were getting into, or what Peter's getting into them. Peter is having fears that his family is going to become victims in a rising gang war, and meanwhile Craven is doing shit like this. Yet he's eating spiders by the handful right now. Like, save some room, dude, you're gonna spoil your dinner. Fast forward, and Craven is in New York City once again, not only prepared but determined to hunt down his friendly neighborhood foe. Peter and the hunter have a quick scuffle before Craven decides to up the pole on Spider-Man, and Peter attempts to reason with Craven. Can you imagine how Peter's accent must have been flaring up? Y'all like, hey yo, what's the word, Craven? Yo, word 2? I would have never thought you would have backed out the knocks on me. Yo, let's just hit up this deli for a bacon, egg, and cheese, and word of made, bro. The Ock will get you right. I know him personally, or something like that. I don't know how New Yorkers talk. But Craven wasn't trying to reason with Peter, and in a split second, Spider-Man was now a dead man. Oh, and Craven was laughing hysterically as he was burying him just to further drive the point that he's a loony. Our next issue begins with number 32, and it starts with Peter floating in purgatory in a fetal position. I don't understand where this is going, but you're gonna head into it with me. He sees Ned Leeds, who is dead at this point in the series. Then it gets gruesome with Ned's face melting in front of him. Yeah, I can see it's turning into one of those comic issues. It then cuts to... What the f am I even looking at right now? It looks like Peter is giving birth to himself through a tarantula's ass. Marvel, what the fuck? With the willpower granted to him by his lovely pass-around wife, Peter resurrects himself. He reunites with his wife, and all is well underneath the webbing. Until Peter's like, nah, fuck that shit, and he goes after Craven. Peter gives Craven a 2-piece combo with no sides, but Craven really doesn't seem to care. He claims that, hey, there ain't no reason to fight you, Peter, because I already won. He tells Peter to follow him, and we enter a room with the character Vermin trapped in a cave. Craven goes on a tangent about how he's basically top dog because he got the vermin, nobody's on top of him, he can't be outbeat, yada yada yada. But let's get to the good shit. He set Vermin loose and let Peter and Vermin run the hands real quick. After Vermin has Peter on the ropes, Craven sets him free. Craven then lets Peter go chase after the vermin, giving him a promise that the hunter will never hunt again. Then he just Cobains himself in a coffin, like, what the fuck? And then that's it. That's it. The last Hunt storyline isn't only just a mature issue, but it's one that made me think deeper about the Spider-Man villain. Craven was a man that wanted to prove himself over all creatures, no matter how high the risks were. And there's something a little admirable about that. He's willing to sacrifice his life for a goal, something that he feels he's destined to do. It's just like how athletes risk their bodies and physical health to achieve their goal, or pilots, or anyone that does something that's prone to failure. It is very scary to face things that you're not familiar with, but to conquer that fear is a whole nother beast. Craven is the embodiment of willpower, and that's why I think he's the perfect antagonist for Spider-Man. Peter himself is a headstrong individual that will stop at nothing to save lives around New York. I mean, dude gets his ass beat on a regular basis and still gets up every single time. This motherfucker won't quit because he just does not know how. In some ways, he and Craven are parallels. Two men driven by one desire, whether helpful or harmful, both still very selfish. And this desire causes them to do extraordinary things, even at the risk of their own life. Craven has also appeared in a bunch of other Spider-Man media, like shows and the series from 2003. He also appeared in Spectacular Spider-Man. If only there was a content creator out there that would react to Spectacular Spider-Man so you guys could watch it. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I'm gonna see you in the next one.